Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising, love and immunity, beloveds. In the presence of the Lord, this morning's communion with God was very, very beautiful. It um, it was so beautiful that God basically woke me up after the beautiful meditation to a beautiful call from a relative, and I got to experience that meditation in the external kingdom as well. So this morning, has been a very blessed and very beautiful, beautiful immunity to just be in the presence of the Lord. See, many people don't understand that the Lord is a presence that requires nothing but just stand still and know that I am God. It requires nothing but your presence. It does not require you as a person, a place, or a thing. It requires nothing but you in your presence. And as I was meditating this morning, what was coming into the meditation was, I guess, my fears of not being accepted, because that is something that I have been in the presence of all of my life. I've been in the presence of not being accepted. It doesn't matter who, what, why, where, and when. I've noticed that in all of my environments, I was not accepted. And it was because of the judgment. It was because of the judgment of other people. You think you're too good. You're antisociable. No. See, many people don't realize that life itself, the conformity of the world, is nothing but a segregation. It's a one big segregation, denominalizations. I call it occultism. See, many people don't realize it says, judge ye not unless you want to be judged. My whole life, I cried for 41 years to God to be loved. So that's all I ever wanted. And that's something when you are in the presence of the Lord, when you are the presence of something that is different, when you are the immunity of something that is not birds of a feather flocks together, you're going to always stand out and stand different in your immunity. See, a lot of people don't understand that we are nothing but a frequency and a vibration. That's all this kingdom is. Before the molecule and before the matter, you are just a immunity. You are just a presence. And by that presence, your fruit, which is your spirit. What is your spirit? What type of spirit, what type of energy do you carry? See, many people don't realize that I and my Father are one. See, many people don't realize that we are all but one thing, and that is life. Every last one of us was made in the same substance, the same image, and the same likeness. But because of conformity, we don't realize that the very teacher of conformity is racism. See, many people cannot comprehend where the root to racism formed. Many people can't see this. Many people have no eyes to truly see the very presence of their essence, because their essence is not life. I came to give you life. And see, what many people forget on a given day, what many people do forget on a given day is that you are but one equality. You are but one image and likeliness, and that is life. Each and every one of us. And a lot of people don't understand that there is no equality in conformity. See, there will never be equality in conformity. And the saddest part is that we don't realize that conformity is the root to segregation. It's the root to denying life from itself. Conformity is literally the root of denying life from living inside of itself. When on a given day, someone cannot recognize you for who you are as an equality, as an equally yoked substance or image or likeness, just like in your mother's womb, in my mother's womb, in their mother's womb, in our mother's womb, we all came from the same source. It was called life. Remember that cell? Do you know who your first creator is, beloveds? Do you truly know who the first creator of this kingdom is? It really wasn't the parent, because the same creator that created your parents created their parents and their parents and their parents, and that creator was life. It was Mother Earth herself that created this physical form. And she was the mother of the first mother who created all other forms of life. So we all forget that life is one. See, this is something that many people can't get. And because they can't get this, they don't realize that they are not in the presence of the Lord. See, because being in the presence of the Lord, you don't see anything but life inside of everything. Because we know the only thing that got us all here, the only fabric that ensured us all to come into this kingdom, which is the highest kingdom called life, was life. Remember in our mother's womb, limb by limb, cell by cell, organ by organ, tissue by tissue, there was a presence. That was the presence of the Lord creating each and every one of these beautiful kingdoms of life. And on every given day, conformed minds, they don't and cannot and will not recognize this. It's like in their understanding of life, it doesn't exist, because you can only serve one master, beloveds. You cannot serve two masters. So when you are a different presence, when you are a different immunity, when you are different from the conformity, when you are different from the conformed mind, because a lot of you guys don't understand that our trinity of life is the body, the mind, and the soul. So your soul is your essence, it's your spirit. And your mind is your, what is your mind? It's your directive to life. It's how you understand you are life. And then the body is the image. It's how you see how all of it came together as one trinity called life. And see, on a given day, many people, they can and will not understand this beautiful testament, because the conformity of their mind is outwardly. See, many people on a given day, they will never be able to see me as life, because the conformed mind, from the day it is born, from the day it goes into the schooling system, from the day it goes into the conformity of the world's, what I would just call propagandas and agenda, because we have to remember, anything that is not life, are in the fabric and the substance and in the immunity of what came to give life onto us, is just a propaganda and an agenda, beloveds. Because you have to remember that life sees all of us equally yoked to one thing, and that is life. Life does not see me as a woman, a black person, a white person, a religion, a political status. Life only sees me as its living body. Remember, in my mother's womb, it knew me very well, beloveds, as it knew every last one of us, as it created us into this beautiful, beautiful testament called life. You see, this is the thing about being in the presence of the Lord. When you are in the presence of the Lord, you truly get to have discernment. You get discernment when you are in the presence of the Lord. You get discernment over the immunity, the fruit that each and every one of us produce as the very fabric of life. See, each and every one of us, we are not here as the flesh, and we are not even here as the mind. Remember, the mind, because it's conformed, it's carnal. So it is already a sinful nature. And how do I know this, beloveds? I can't just come on here and spew these things without giving you an understanding of why I say sinful nature. Because sinful nature is one thing and one thing only. Simple nature is when you and one equality to life, and you don't even recognize your own self as life. So because you don't recognize yourself as life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, you can't recognize anybody else outside of you as life. And this is why we are, when you want to understand what the root to racism is, the root to hate, the root to evil, the root to injustice, the root to everything that the world has had to endure as a conformity, as a conformed immunity. Remember, it says, do not be conformed by the world, but stay renewed in my mind. Because your mind is but one thing, and it is the directive to life. And if you were the presence, if you were in the presence of the Lord, which is the immunity of life, you would understand that no one is not equal to that same equality. But in conformity, that essence, that understanding, and that presence, you will just realize that it has never existed and it will never exist in the world. On a given day, there is somebody in your own image and likeliness that says, no, I'm not life, I'm black. No, I'm not life, I'm a PhD. No, I'm not life, I'm greater than your life. No, I'm not life. On every given day, conformed minds, they are literally rebuking their own presence of just being in the presence of the Lord. See, we can only serve one master, beloveds. And this is the most beautiful thing when it says, I and my Father are one. The most beautiful thing is that when you are in the presence of the Lord, that's when the Holy Spirit is upon life. Remember, the Holy Spirit has no image without you. Remember, you in your mother's womb, it needed to create a trinity called life. It had to be, in order to be the molecule and the matter which is formed for God or the Spirit to be one in itself, it had to create a vessel. And the beautiful thing about that vessel is that it had to create you and I. You and I. But it created us in its image, which is its essence. And it said, I came to give you life. And yet on a given day, in a conformed mind, in a conformed humanity, not one of those understandings, which you have to remember, you are the understanding that surpasses all understandings, beloveds. You have infinite intelligence that created you in your mother's womb. You got trillions and trillions of intelligences that make up your image and your likeliness. And yet, you choose to serve a conformity that on every given day has never recognized you or I as life. Now that is a sin upon itself, which is life. Many people don't realize that on every given day they refuse life. See, the person who refuses me to be a equality to life because they think I'm a minority or because they think I'm black or because they believe they're different from me, that's a sin upon life itself. So you will never understand that you have never been in the presence of the Lord, because the Lord is a essence. It's a Holy Spirit that dwells within each and every one of us. Remember, beloveds, what do you think your cells are? What do you think made up this beautiful kingdom? See, it was life. See, many people, they refuse to honor their truth. This is why Jesus said the truth will set us free, beloveds. And see, the thing about a conformed mind is a conformed mind, it says the devil is a liar. Let me tell you, the devil is a liar. How I did the video the other day, I did a video and I was speaking about what was I speaking about? I was speaking about how we truly are not in the immunity of the Lord. We just are not. Everything I speak about is just to show us this. Everything. I can't even go to anything that I do because it's all going to always lead us back to one. Every one of my live videos is always going to lead us back to the one thing, and that is the consciousness of the presence of the Lord. That's your ability to have eyes to see and ears to hear, and a presence of the Lord, which is the immunity to realize that you are life itself. You are life in its abundance. But see, when you take your life, which is your soul, it says, what does a man profit if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? So when you take your soul, which is the life and the abundance of life, because it's the spirit, it's the essence of the Lord, and you take it outwardly, where's life at? You literally sold your soul to become a conformity. And see, remember in that conformity, it's a sad, sad story when it comes to being written out of the book of life. To write yourself out of the book of life. As I stated on the last video, that I took responsibility, beloveds, for everything that I did. I don't blame the white man. I don't blame the government. You know, those are conformities. They are already written out of the book of life, beloveds. They already out of the book of life. So you know what? Forgive them, Father, for what they do. Because the thing about conformity is that you don't realize that it is you exiling yourself from the kingdom of life. It's you. Nobody is doing that to you, beloveds. Even if the white man put a gun to my head, even if the white man took everything from me. See, the book of Job, or the essence of Job, the spirit of Job, which is just the knowledge. See, Job was just a knowledge. He was a living knowledge. Remember, every one of our cells hold the prophecy. They hold the prophecy of life, beloveds. So this is why it says that victory is already yours. Victory's already been served. The battle has already been won. See, the thing about the battle is that many people don't know they fight in a battle that don't even belong to them. Because you want to be conformed to a world that just refuses to recognize itself as the essence of the Lord, the presence of the Lord. It wants to be conformed to a image and a likeliness where nobody recognizes itself for life. They would want to suffer in the abuse. Yeah, see, I had to come to the realization that it was me. I was denying my living right. I was choosing to be in the conformity of something that will never, ever, 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 and can never add life on to me. Because the kingdom of heaven lives within. This is the only immunity to life. Remember all those cells in my mother's womb that chose me? Oh, you got to understand. I told you to go see the manifestation of life take place inside of a living earth herself. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. That book, the first book of life, really speaks of our beautiful, beautiful essence. But many people can't get this because they forget that in order for you to understand the atom, which is the image of God, or the likeliness of God, that became the image of God, you have to have first the eyes to see it without the image, but just in this likeliness. And see, God didn't just throw us into life. He gave us a trinity. The atom forming into the molecule and then into the matter. He gave us a trinity to see the soul, the mind, and the body in its whole form of gestation. God didn't make us dumb. God made us a living knowledge. He says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. See, the knowledge that you guys all refuse is the presence of the Lord. is to be in the immunity of just life itself. See, you can't serve any other master, beloveds. There's only but one master. I came to give you life. And see, this is the hardest thing about conformity. Because the conformity, it has denominalized itself into it's branded. It's marked by the beast. You see, many people can't get that understanding. Because when you think about the beast, you think about this big old giant monster. But see, I don't see the beast as the monster. I see the beast as these succubus. They're spirits. They're these unseen essences. Remember, by your fruits you will be known. See, many people don't understand that the only thing that can produce fruit is nature. And in our case, our nature is the spirit. And in the case of the nature outside of us, it is still the spirit. It's the living kingdom. It's only, nature is just the living kingdom, beloveds. All living kingdoms are natural sources. It's nature. See, but this is something that conformity, they just don't understand. Because they think that their God is the flesh. You think that your God is all the material. But what creates that understanding? It's the living kingdom. That all of the flesh or the conformed minds have basically forfeited for the world. Forfeited. This is what the matrix is all about, beloveds. And God's return is only the spirit returning back into you as one kingdom called life. And when man or human has numbered their days, what have you done? What do you think that all means, beloveds? Can you literally comprehend the ignorance that the Bible truly is trying to speak of when it talks about ignorance and evil and hate? See, there's but one law to life. There's only one law, and that's life. I came to give you life. Don't call God in any other name, beloveds. Don't call anything in any other name, because once you conform it, you are now its master. So many of y'all don't realize y'all masters of evil, hate, racism, death, wickedness. It says, who knows the heart is wicked? Remember, the only thing that can produce life, the only thing that is the wellspring of life in this kingdom is the heart. We have to really, truly understand the truth. This is why Jesus stated the truth will set us free. See, the heart is pumping the nature of the life force for this body. Now, I can go higher, but I can't go into that realm with people who can't even understand the one they living in. I just can't, because I would sound crazy, even though I was speaking the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So this is the thing about rebuking. See, you have to rebuke everything. This is what conformity does to life. It rebukes. It wants everything, but it rebukes life. It'll bring in everything into this kingdom. It'll bring everything. It'll conform everything into its Holy Spirit, and then give it eyes to see, give it life to form reality in. But you refuse to give life onto itself. See, I had to learn this the hard way as I woke up this morning and I was communing with life itself. And I was, sometimes I cry out to God, because I'm in this beautiful, beautiful presence. And most of the time I am alone, because nobody is really in the presence of me. Life. See, I'm not seeing anybody. I see everybody as the same equality as life. But see, in the world, you can't give people eyes to see this, because they can only see outwardly. They can't see that everything is taking place in the kingdom of heaven within. They can't see that their hate is a weapon formed against life. See, I was talking to a relative this morning and I said, see, the thing about family is that family does not forsake you. This is how you know who is in the presence of the Lord. Because family is life. Our culture. See, the very culture of this life is every cell body. Your family is the cell. It's the molecule. So every one of us is a molecule. That's our family. That's what made us into a living kingdom. It was the cell. So the parent of this body would be the cell. The parent or the creator of this body would be the cell. Now the image would be the spirit, but the spirit had to turn itself into a cell in order to have the molecule, in order to form into the molecule, which is the mind, the memory cell of that spirit. And in order for it to make it a reality, it had to form into an image called matter, which is life itself. So this is how we see, have eyes to see nothing forming into something, how the atom formed into the molecule to create the matter, which is form, existence, so that we can see life is living. So anyways, because we couldn't know life was living if we was just the atom. It would just be consciousness. There would be no way to know this consciousness by its name without a form. So unless we had the matter, we couldn't see anything. We would just be consciousness floating around like the breath. That's what the breath shows us. The breath literally shows us how the spirit realm is living amongst us. But many people can't see this because they are not in the presence of the Lord. They are in the conformity of doctrine. They are in the conformity of man's understanding. They are not in the presence of the Lord. They are not in a conscious state of mind. They are programmed by their masters. So whatever your master taught you, that's what you understand as life. See, the only way you can understand life is when you serve the one master, and that is life. Because life is living inside of you and not in the world. Life has no image or likeliness without it having a form. So how many people right now is forfeiting this beautiful essence and this beautiful presence and this beautiful immunity to turn themselves into a word that becomes flesh? And see, that word, that word is a deadly weapon formed against itself. Because on every given day, my own life refuses to accept me for who I am. Do you know how many people right now would deny me because I speak about the truth? Forget that I'm life. Well, forsake me on a given day. Literally forsake me on a given day. This is conformity. This is the mindset of conformity. The mindset of conformity is the racist immunity. It is, when I say it's a lethal weapon, when I say a lethal weapon, let me give you guys the understanding of a lethal weapon. A lethal weapon is somebody who refuses the immunity to spread life amongst this existence. You will spread blackness. You will spread racism. You will spread occultism. You will spread religion. You will spread government. You will spread education, but you won't spread life. The only thing that each and every one of us came in the same image and likeness of. See, this is why I love God so much. This is why I stand alone, and I'm okay with standing alone. Because I'm never standing alone. See, when you are the presence of life, it is your immunity keeping all this stuff from destroying life. See, many people don't recognize who they are. Many people on a given day, they cannot recognize who they are. See, I'm life. I don't hold myself greater than anything but the image and the testament and the likeness that born me in my mother's womb. See, to call myself in any other name, beloveds, that would be a blasphemy against God. I automatically would be the root to racism. And guess what would happen if I was the root to racism? I would call those things on to be in which they were. So that would be an eye for an eye. Every racist person in the world would ensure that I had eyes to see. I'm drawing that spirit because I am its image. See, this is the hardest thing that I had to learn when I was coming back into this beautiful understanding, into this knowledge that my people perish of. They perish because they don't want to live in the immunity of just life alone. I came to give you life. You want to be black? You want to be a degree? You want to be a person who has money? You want to be everything but your own image and likeness. See, the presence of the Lord requires nothing from us. Stand still and know that I am God. But see, many people, they cannot do that because they think God is their money. See, God can't be money. Just like the atom can't be the molecule or the matter. The molecule is the molecule and the matter is the matter. And you being black is just being black. And me being life is just me being life. I can only serve but one master. This is why it says God is not of that world. This is why I told you, do not be conformed to that world, but stay renewed in my mind. You see, because my mind is only but one thing. I am my Father of one. I am the directive to life itself. I came to give you life. And I add all those things onto you. See, but most people, they don't understand this. They don't understand this because if it was understood, this world would be heaven on earth. And there would be no sickness, sin, and death. It just couldn't. Why? Because you are living in the kingdom of life right now. And yet you don't have no understanding of it. How many days of your life do you abide in being black? Abide in being hated? Abide in being a minority? How many blasphemies do you host against the very essence of the Lord right now in your kingdom? And this right here to you, you would tell me that I'm lying. And you can only serve one master, beloveds. And how do I know this? Remember in your mother's womb, limb by limb, cell by cell, organ by organ, tissue by tissue, what was the creation of that matter? It was life. Who was the creator of that matter, of that form, of that manifestation? Okay? But see, conformity, it says the devil is a liar. See, all y'all don't know that the conformity is a liar. It's the conformity. See, many of y'all right now, you think I'm talking about you. This is why you never going to be able to come back to the Holy Spirit. But I'm not talking to you. You know, sometimes you got to speak to the host. I'm talking to the host. I'm not talking to life. Because beyond the host, see, the host only has life through you. So I'm never going to talk to life. I don't have to talk to life. I'm trying to get you back into the presence of the Lord. And the only way that I can get you back into the presence of the Lord is to speak to the host. And see, many people don't understand this because they just refuse to be in the presence of the Lord. I came to give you life. Who's your Lord and Savior on every given day? Remember, in your mother's womb? Who created you? Whose eyes right now are you seeing through? Whose vessel right now are you in the presence of? And yet you would give your presence of the Lord being your Lord and Savior, being your immunity to all of life, over to a word to become flesh in it, which is a carnal sin, a blasphemy against life itself, and then tell everybody in the world that the devil did it. That's a blasphemy amongst itself right now, because the devil, let me tell you what the devil was a fallen angel, just like humanity is a fallen angel from their own grace and their own mercy and their own life. It always will come back to the same story. Even the devil was given the same beautiful, beautiful authority over life. But see, the devil wanted to prove, the devil was just like the book of Job. God already knew Job was his descendant. How do I know Job is my descendant, beloveds? Job was already in the essence, in the presence of the Lord. He knew that nothing of that world made him who he was. Nothing of the world makes you or I who we are. When I say it's a figment of our imagination, it's a poltergeist, it's an illusion that many people will sacrifice your life for. Forget their life, beloveds. Let me just tell you, if they're willing to sacrifice your life, their life is already sacrificed. Come on, beloveds. You can already see the host living in them. See, at the age of 5, I can see what I call succubus. They're just hosts. They're not you, though. See, right now, that host, it will blind you from your own essence, your own presence. It will blind you from seeing that you are life. And only through you can that host have access to create reality from your life, from your image, and from your likeliness. And then tell you that the devil did it, but it's using your immunity. So it's truly you. See, when I told you that I had to take responsibility for what I did, I was wicked. I was sinful, and I was a blasphemy against my own life. So how could I not be a lethal weapon against everybody else's life, beloveds? When you're willing to sacrifice your own image and your own likeness for something that does not see you on any given day as life itself, that's pure evil. That's pure hate. So you have already forsaken me. The only thing that will never forsake us, beloveds, is the Lord. Man or human is already forsaken life. So how can they be in the presence of the Lord? See, this is something that many people can't see. Because behind what they see is conformity. It's a host. It's lust. See, many people think lust is a sexual deity. But lust is not a sexual deity. Lust is a spirit that hosts itself inside of you. And it gets gratification off of your spirit of life. That's what lust is. See how that mind that's conformed, it can turn lust into sexuality. It can turn lust into greed. It can turn lust into anything. You got to remember that your spirit is infinite. It creates all possibilities, beloveds. It creates reality itself. So it can create in you. Remember, it can only create in you. Remember, every last one of these cells is truly the book of life. It's your memory to the mind, the transformed and the renewed mind, though. Not the DNA mind. See, the DNA mind is that I'm black. And black is just flesh because it's just a word. But I'm greater than the word because what created me was not a word. Black didn't create me. And you already told you the devil was a fucking liar. And I'm going to say it the way I say it. The devil is a motherfucking liar. Because even on the devil's color chart, This is not black. This is brown. So the devil is a liar. And see what the devil does? That host, oh, let me tell you, you can never be in the presence of the Lord, and you will never even have eyes to see that you are not. Because for a long time, my wicked ass, oh, beloveds, my wicked ass, my deadly weapon ass, I'm going to call it in my name because I ain't afraid to admit to my sins. Because you know how I got rid of those sins? By respecting that I am the living truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me, Lord, that every time I rebuke you in your name, you will help me remember who I am. Tell him I am sent me. So that that host will remember that I am the eyes to see who you are on every given day. Every given day I have eyes to see that I am. Remember in my mother's womb, I was. And without that I am, I could never be. So I'm not going to ever belittle myself to be a word called flesh. Ever, ever, ever. And the person who wanted me to believe that is a blasphemy against my life. So they already are not in the essence of the Lord. So you guess what? That's why I say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You have to be forgiven. Remember, I take responsibility for my shit. See, many people, they won't do this. Oh, they gonna blame the devil. They gonna blame the white man. They gonna blame the government. Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they not responsible. But remember, they wasn't doing that against me. Because I'm not black. They were coming against life. They were sowing a transgression inside of God's memory, which means that they were numbering their days, writing themselves out of the book of life, becoming a debt, becoming a sin, becoming a transgression. Now they the fruit of what? What are they the fruit of? Conformity, sin, hate, racism, evil, injustice, fear. Can't honor love. Can't spread the immunity back into life. Can't give on to you nothing. The root to racism, the root to death, the root to evil. See, we got to realize, beloveds, what being in the presence of life truly means. And see, this is the most beautiful thing about truth. See, truth, it can't forsake you and I. Truth won't ever forsake you and I. Do you know on every given day, I see people fighting to be equal. And on every given day, my same image and my same likeness will deny me from being a part. They will forsake me for just being who I am. But they fighting for equality. They making organizations and buildings and creating all this insanity, when the only reason why they are suffering in all that unrighteousness and sin and injustice and fear and everything that's happening is because they refused life. How can you be worried about what the white man did to you, and right now you will refuse me? And I'm life. I'm the same equality to you. See, this is something that I had to see. It was me. I was wicked. I was hateful. And I was a deadly weapon, not only first to my own self. Not only was I a blasphemy to life itself, but if I'm that way, and that's the spirit that I'm hosting, because I am the image and I am the likeliness, and my immunity is just a frequency and a vibration, beloveds, and everybody's blood is a frequency and a vibration, beloveds, called life. And whatever fruit we produce inside of that immunity called life shall be added on to all of life, because we are one image and one likeliness. Who's the blaspheming, beloveds? What is a blaspheming, beloveds? What is truly hate? What is truly wickedness? And what is truly the root to all racism? Right now, my own people forsaken me. But right now, the people who forsaken me trying to fight for equality. So how are you going to get something that you are not, that you are rebuking from itself? This is why it says, judge ye not unless you want to be judged. How are you going to ask to be equality or to have equality when you have life right in front of you who's equal to you? And you treat them just like the people who treated you unequal to your own life has treated you. And then you say, but oh no, that was evil and that was wickedness and that was the devil. No, that's an eye for an eye. And I had to learn this, beloveds. I had to learn. I was drawing those things to be in which they were. And because I didn't have eyes to see this, I couldn't see that it was me. Couldn't recognize that it was me. Hate is just hate. Black is just black. Just like God is just God. I came to give you life. Now, anything outside of life is conformity, beloveds. That ain't of me. God is not of that world. He told us this. Do not be conformed to that world. What does a man profit if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? What has man profited in the world? Come on, tell me what man has profited in the world. To deny their own life. That's what you have profited. Not one person in that world is in the presence of the Lord. Because if that was the case, we would all be the image and the likeness. Because guess what? Remember in our mother's womb, limb by limb, cell by cell, tissue by tissue, organ by organ, we all were created in the same substance called life. And yet, today, right now, someone in the same, what you would call blackness, will forsake me. And then say, the white man has forsaken them. Or say that somebody else has forsaken them. Or I'm just going to say, I'm using my own self. I could say that somebody else, but I couldn't express what I'm saying if I was using something else that I know that I wasn't once in the presence of. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. I'm not using you. Because who you are is life. You don't understand that. That's why you can let me offend you when I talk. Because you're not in the presence of life. You're in the presence of something hosting itself against your life. See, when I'm coming on here and I'm talking, I'm not talking to you, life. I'm talking to the host. I'm talking to the flesh. Because the flesh ain't living. The flesh is a poltergeist. Wish it away, Caroline. Wish it away. It's a figment. And this motherfucker want to make you believe that you ain't shit. Do you know how many times somebody tried to make me believe that I wasn't shit? And I was, oh yes, sir. Yes, master. And this person is the root to evil, hate, injustice, fear, punishment, and has already forsaken me. Because number one, the first thing it needed to recognize is that I'm life. And it couldn't even have eyes to see that, beloveds. Who is that? Is that God? Is that somebody in the presence of the Lord? No. See, when you start to carry that spirit, be in the presence of the Lord, which is life, you start having discernment over life itself. And you ain't gonna see nothing else outside of life. So this is when you have eyes to see what type of fruit they will produce against the living kingdom. Yeah. See, life is beautiful. It tells its own truth. This is why Jesus said the truth will set you free, beloveds. See, the truth is living. See, the truth knows one thing. I and my Father are one, beloveds. Are you not life? Remember in your mother's womb? Oh, we all came in the same image, in the same likeness, beloveds. But in a conformed mind, who am I? What do you see me as right now? You can never see me as life if you're not in the presence of the Lord. You can only see me as conformity, which is flesh, which is a black woman or a black person or a minority. Whatever program your master, whatever knowledge your master fed you. What did your master feed you? Did your master feed you life? Did your master feed you from the tree of life, which is a living truth, which can never, ever, ever lie to you, beloveds, which will never, ever forsake you? See, this is why it says, if God is for you, what can be against you? And many people don't get that scripture because they didn't took it into man's word, turned it into this whole other understanding that don't make no sense to life. How many denominations do we have of God's living word? And it's but one thing: I came to give you life. How many understandings on a given day will you hear from a different pastor, a different religion, a different ministry, a different understanding? And there's only but one knowledge, and my people perish of it. And that's just life. What do you perish of? You perish of life. I came to give you life. And on every given day, conformity, you can't see life. Oh, I get forsaked every day by my own people. And they won't even see it because they judging me according to that program they got telling them what life is. See, surely if you eat from that knowledge of that tree of good and evil, you're going to die by it. Because you're going to forget the only thing you are is life. I don't believe in anything nobody tells me about me. See, that's that shit you making up in your head. Those are them illusions that you got hosting in your consciousness, telling your consciousness to see life as something other than it is. That's a blasphemy against your own spirit. How can you be in the presence of the Lord when you're not even in the presence of life? How could you add on to anything that's living if everything that you think about life is to kill, steal, and destroy it? But on a given day, somebody gonna judge me for the truth, but try to cast a lie upon my own immunity to life, beloveds. This is when we can't see who the true blasphemy is, who the true wickedness is. This is why it says, who truly knows the heart is wicked? Who truly knows their heart is wicked? See, you remember, I'm going to admit to my shit. I was wicked. I was evil. And I was a lethal weapon. Why? I'm going to tell you my curse, my sin. It was pain. Pain is a weapon that will kill every cell body of existence in your own living kingdom. Do you know how many people right now in so much pain that they hate all of life, and they don't have eyes to see this? Oh yeah, that was once me, and I'm not ashamed. See, many people, they will hide their pain, deny their pain, cover it up with success, cover it up with judgment, cover it up with fear, cover it up with punishment. Oh, y'all can't understand why life hardens all Pharaoh's hearts. See, y'all think Pharaoh was this word that became flesh. No, Pharaoh was a fruit. Pharaoh is this beautiful testament called life that God has given the presence of the Lord onto. And he takes this presence and this immunity and he enslaves life. What does he enslave life in? Hate, evil, wickedness, jealousy, fear, poverty, all the deadly sins. He enslaves the presence of the Lord. So what life is going to have to do to that immunity, remember, all you are is immunity, beloveds, in this kingdom. Remember that blood. Guard your heart. This is why he says, I hardened Pharaoh's heart. I made Pharaoh's heart so wicked that when it came time for me to destroy his kingdom, all I had to use was his own staff against him. I had to just split his Red Sea. He already denied life. He already denied life. You understand? What was Pharaoh doing to all of God's children? What was he doing with life in everything? Destroying it. See, on that given day, a conformed mind can't see that everything is one. See, this is the deadliest weapon formed against everything. Is a person who on any given day cannot see everything as one thing. I came to give you life. And when you can't recognize me as life, what are you? You are literally the power of death. Automatically, you are the power of death. But you don't have the living truth in you, so you don't have eyes to see this. So who is truly the blasphemy against God, which is just life itself, which all of us came in the same image and likeness of, beloveds. See, life is very beautiful, but we don't see beauty in the world. There's no beauty in the world. You can buy those fancy cars. You can live in those fancy houses. You can have all the money that you want, beloveds. But when you don't have life, when you're not in the presence of the Lord, what are you adding on to life? What have you given back to anything? See, this is when we don't understand who truly knows the heart is wicked, beloveds. I tell you, for 2 years, I cried. I was debilitated on top of that. I had just been permanently disabled during this time. So I was already going through my own shit. I couldn't work anymore. My body had broken down. I was hurt by what put me in that situation at that time. I was just what I always believed myself as, damaged goods. See, this is what conformity does to you. It's just like Pharaoh. It destroys all of your immunity to life, beloveds. It destroys everything. It eats away at your bones and your marrow. Do you know that my shoulder is cartilage to cartilage? What was eating away at me like that, beloveds? I got a genetic disorder where my flow of life, my blood, my wellspring is coagulated, and my phone is about to die. So hopefully it won't, and I can get this message out. See, life tells its own story. Being that I'm an internal being, and I told you how I feel kryptonite. Y'all can't understand what kryptonite is. Kryptonite is life forming a weapon against itself. Nobody in that world has ever saw me as life. And nobody in that world will ever see me as life, beloveds, on no given day, because they are not in the presence of the Lord. How can you be for life and not be for life? Remember, in our mother's womb, we all came from the same image and likeness. We all drank from the same substance. The atom, the molecule, and the matter. The soul, the mind, and the body. Trinity. And yet, right now, somebody don't see me as life. They see me as a nigga, a black person, a minority. as they judgment, then forsake me and my life as though I'm not even present in the Lord. When you come back to life, when you stand still in the presence of the Lord, beloveds, you will have eyes to see the living truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. If nobody has told you this on this day, beloveds, love and immunity. And thank you for joining. Nay, have an amazing day.